Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys have been having a great day and a great summer. So, I asked you guys on Instagram any questions you might have for me regarding anything. So, I asked if you had questions about school starting in September, which by the way guys, I'm gonna have some sick vlogs coming out in September. I can't wait to start, incorporating school into my channel and sharing that with you guys, so stay tuned. So about school, faith, beauty, books, and anything, pretty much anything. So you guys delivered and I have all the questions here. So let's get right into it. What was my dream job as a kid? This is a tough one because I never know what to say when people ask me this. I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be a fashion designer, a baker, a musician, a writer, just everything under the sun. I was like, no guys, I could be like Katy Perry and I could like write books and I could have this like cool bakery and I could also design my own clothes while I'm the next Katy Perry. Like I totally was into that. The only thing I think I did really, I sewed a few of my own clothes before. Sewed. And now it's kind of embarrassing to admit that I'm also an author. Because I can't say sewed or sewn. But yes, I'm an author. I'm a published author. So I guess I've accomplished one thing that I wanted to do as a kid, and that's perfectly fine by me. Favorite book or series? So when I was about a preteen, my favorite books were the Selection series, so by Kiera Cass. I'll see again if I can put a visual here. So the Selection, the Elite, and the One were like the main three books. Then there was the Heir and the Crown. Those were good, but not as good as the first three. The first three followed like the parents of the second one. I love those books. They were like royalty and dystopian and it was pretty much The Bachelor, but for preteens, but royal. It was awesome. Those were so good. And they were also clean. So for a preteen, that was a very good series to be absorbed in. Kiera Cass, I think, only writes clean preteen books. Like, I don't think she writes predominantly for adults, but now I'm an adult, I think. And I really enjoy them still. They're fun to revisit every once in a while. But lately I've been revisiting a more mature series. So the Gabriel's Inferno series, again, right here. I like that series a lot because it follows like this professor from the University of Toronto. And as you guys know, I'm also from Toronto. So it's really cool to see like my own city and like landmarks in my own city being mentioned and street names, and I'm like, oh, I've been to that restaurant, like, or oh, I've used that like Canadian skincare brand like that they mentioned in the book. So I find it very like niche. Also written by a Canadian author, and it follows like, so this professor of Italian studies, he's teaching a course about Dante, and I find that so cool because it's an Italian historical figure and philosopher, and I'm also Italian, so it like checked off all my boxes. And it says it's erotic fiction, but it's really not. I think it tries to be, but it's not dirty. Like, no. Like, I think people tried to compare it when it came out to 50 Shades of Grey, but there's really no comparison at all. The movies, I think, are more graphic than the books. The first one has absolutely nothing, and the second and the third are like very mild. So I really enjoy those books, and the movies also are pretty good. Like, again, I like book to movie adaptations that are page for page, and these are word for word, never mind page for page. These are really good. So yeah, I've been revisiting that series, and come fall I'm gonna probably reread the first one just because it gives dark academia vibes, and I really like that. I also revisit a lot in audiobook form or in physical form Zachary Levi's book. It's his autobiography called Radical Love. It's a really good book. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Tangled. When I was a kid, Tangled was my favorite movie. It probably still is my favorite Disney movie. Chuck is one of my favorite TV shows as well. And I just really enjoy Zachary Levi as an actor, and I had no idea before reading his book all the stuff that like happened in his life and all the, you know, struggles he had with trauma and mental health, and it was wild to read. And I was also very fortunate to have met Zachary Levi last year at Comic-Con Toronto. Fan Expo Toronto. He signed my book and I got to talk to him a little bit, and it was a really cool experience. So I definitely revisit those. Yeah, I'm gonna be taking courses in school in September, so I hope I'll have time for like reading. We'll see. How does faith influence your work? So there was a Bible verse that when I saw this question it reminded me of, and I'm gonna put it down here, but basically as a Christian we're called, it says like as a Christian we're called to glorify God in all things we do. So me being a nail tech, a makeup artist, a medical esthetician, an author, I was wondering how I could incorporate my faith into these things, because I didn't see it, how doing someone's nails could be glorifying God. I didn't really understand that. And that's not the reason for my career change at all. I just didn't understand though how anything I was good at, if it wasn't in ministry, how it could be glorifying God. Because a lot of times, like, misconceptions in my religion, in my faith, is, you know, if you're in ministry, you have a God glorifying job. But there are so many other things. Like, I've recently read like a devotional called Create and Activate in the YouVersion plan. I'll send a screenshot here of my plan. But basically the whole idea was, even if you're like a plumber, right, and there's a broken pipe and you're fixing it, you're restoring it to its former beauty, former glory, let's say, just for the sake of it, and you're restoring it back to what it should be. That alone is like a Christ-like thing to do. So I always used to think it had to be like, okay, if I'm doing someone's nails, like, it's not like I'm like writing Bible verses on them, right? Or if I'm doing someone's makeup, it's not like I'm doing their makeup for like a church event. So I was like, well, how could this glorify God? But I think even just the conversations I have now with my nail clients, just not getting into that gossip culture, that's very prevalent in the esthetician kind of universe. So just not gossiping with my clients. I think that's a way to honor God. And again, these are my own personal beliefs, convictions, whatever you, if you have more questions, like, feel free, we can always chat about it, but I would totally tell you, just go right into the word. You'll find everything that you need to know in there. But even like writing my romance novels, I was like, well, I'm not writing a Christian book. But then again, I'm also writing clean romance books. And that alone is honoring God and glorifying God. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like right on the nose. And I think that's what I struggle with, is kind of the legalistic things of my faith, is that not everything has to be right on the dot. Exactly, you know, to glorify God, you have to preach, you have to be in children's ministry, you have to be full-time, like, you have to be a church creative, like, all these things. It can be in your everyday life as long as you do it with the intention of glorifying God, right? And that it aligns with his word. But yeah. Now this one I'm excited for, because somebody is starting their first year of high school. So congratulations, that is so exciting. You're starting your first year of high school. I'm starting my first year of public college. So we're in kind of the same boat. But any advice is what this person's asking me. And I know it's gonna sound cliche, so bear with me. I'll give a sip of my coffee first. I know it's gonna sound super cliche, but be yourself. Just be yourself. It's so easy. It's such a small thing, but when you can really grasp it. It took me, I think, 3 years into high school to actually start being my own person. Because when I started high school, I was like, okay, I'm going in with like this kind of like small friend group, and then we all got separated. And I was like, well, now where is everybody? Who am I gonna hang out with? So in order to not be alone, like during lunch periods or even in my classes, if someone was like, hey, do you like X, Y, and Z? I was like, no, I don't dislike it. I love it, right? Like I was like overly into the things that other people were into, even if I wasn't. For example, my music taste is like eccentric. I like, you know, show tunes, opera, Spanish bachata, like I like everything, but I have very particular taste. And one thing I really am not a fan of, and that's my own personal preference, is Taylor Swift. I'm so sorry. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but I don't like hate her or anything. And like rap, I just can't get into it unless it's Hamilton. But I can't get into rap and Taylor Swift. So if people were like, hey, do you like at the time, like I remember that guy, that rapper, what's his name? XXX Tentacion or something. I'm not even saying that right. But they're like, oh yeah, he's the best. And I was like, yeah, man, like he's awesome. I was like, yeah. So I would like try to listen to his music, and I was like, wow, this is not for me. This is not what I'm used to. This is not what I like. So I would spend so much time putting aside what I actually wanted and what I actually liked, so I could find common ground with people who I didn't really need to find common ground with. Another thing for me was, I was a band nerd. I played the saxophone all through middle school and high school. So pretending not to be a band nerd when you are a band nerd, everyone knows you are. Everyone knows, because you're the kid walking around with the red band jacket and the saxophone case that's like this big and about like, you know, 1,000 pounds. So yeah, just pretending like, oh, like band's not cool. Like it is cool. That's why I joined it. That's why I enjoyed it. So just really lean into your interests. Because if you start leaning into your interests, you'll find other people that are actually interested in the stuff that you like. And you'll find more people that way, more genuinely, too. And I think I'm going to have to take my own advice for college, right? Now that I'm older, I am a little bit more set in my ways of things that I like and things that I don't like. So I'm a little more stubborn in that respect. But yeah, you and me, we're first years. Good luck. Speaking of school, this one's asking me, what class are you most excited to be enrolled in for the fall? Iced coffee. Okay. What course am I most excited to be enrolled in? So my course is like a block-based course, which basically means the program coordinators already chose my first 5 courses, and I had to choose the other 2. And it's not even like I got to choose them. It's like an English credit and a mathematic credit that I just picked which level and what time. So the courses I have to take, they're all around event management because that's the program I'm taking. So I think I'm just most excited for the intro to event management, just to get like the overview of what the course, what the whole program kind of entails, and just getting more information about this kind of line of work and people that have actually worked in it. So the good thing about this college is the people teaching it have actually worked in the field, which is great. So yeah, just to get more of a basis for my program, I'm really excited for that. Okay, now somebody's asking about my writing process. So what is your writing process like? Are you a plotter? I am not a plotter. I come up with ideas for my books. For example, let's use the Toronto Blues series. I knew that I wanted the ballerina and the right winger to be together, fall in love. I did not know that there would be a second book when I wrote the first. I had no intention of writing a second one. I had an intention of just doing standalone books always. And then I was like, but this couple from the first book that isn't the main couple, they need their own story because I really enjoyed them. And then from the second book, I was like, okay, it'll just be a duo. And then I was also wrong. And that couple, that's not the main couple in the second one, needed their own book. Now the third one will be the last because I'm ready to close this chapter. But the only thing I planned when I wrote the Toronto Blues series was I need a hockey player, I need a ballerina, I need a friend group. They're gonna fall in love in about 150, 60 pages. It's gonna be an open and shut case, and that's it. Now, when planning like individual chapters and such, I don't plan chapters. I sit down on my computer, preferably with an iced coffee, preferably at night, in my bed, background music or background TV show, and I just go for it. I won't revise anything or revise stuff like in the morning, and I'll only revise my book, this is an interesting one, when it's done. I finish the whole book, I print it out on many sheets of paper, and I go over with a red pen, and then I start editing on the computer as I'm editing in paper. So as for plotting, I don't find it works for me. I wish it did, because then my books would be much more organized, but like just the process of like putting it from my mind to the computer. But yeah, I just kind of go with the flow. And I feel like the more I plot, the less fun it is for me. And I want this to always be something fun. I want this always to be a fun endeavor of mine. It's never to make money. It's honestly just to live out that like dream I had when I was a kid to write. So yeah, that's my writing process. And that's a really long way of saying no, I don't plot. Alright, our last question. I'm trying to get my curls back. Any tips? Actually, yes. So as you can tell, my hair is pretty straight. It's pretty uninteresting. And it needs to be washed. So maybe I'll do this when I wash my hair. But when I want some nice waves and some nice volume, it's better when my hair is to about right here right now. I don't know if you can see that. But when my hair is long,